to learn what are the documents which are required to be issued by a registered person while carrying on his business. Look, when you go for a shopping in a shopping mall or in any other shop, suppose you want to buy shirt, and in order to buy shirt you select one or two shirts and then tell the supplier, owner or the salesman, sir, I have selected this, please bill for it. So the person concerned will send the goods to the cashier where your bill will be prepared, and then bill will be given to you and you have to pay money for that. So that bill, or we can call it as invoice. So that invoice has to be issued by the registered person, and that invoice is called a tax invoice. There are certain other invoices also, but a registered person should issue a tax invoice, and they can also issue bill of supply in case of exempted goods. For taxable goods, they will be issuing tax invoice, and for exempted goods, they will be issuing bill of supply or simply invoice. So we need to understand who can issue invoice, what will be the contents of invoice, at what point of time invoice is to be issued, and what are the other related documents which are supposed to be issued. So the name of the chapter is tax invoice, credit and debit notes, and different type of documents which are issued by the suppliers and the recipients during the course of their business are, this is listed here: tax invoice, revised invoice, bill of supply, receipt voucher, invoice under RCM, document to be issued by ISD, input service provider, then credit note, debit note, and supplementary invoices. So these type of the various documents which are issued by the suppliers and the recipients from time to time. So we will study each invoices, when to be issued, by whom to be issued, and what are the contents of the invoice. So first is tax invoice, and section is 31 of CGST Act 2017. Section is 31. Now it says tax invoice to be issued by supplier of goods. By supplier of goods. In another slide, we will be looking at tax invoice to be issued by supplier of services. Here we are discussing by supplier of goods. Now this section is very important, and we need to know the meaning of each word used over here. So I was telling you that when you will go to that shop for buying of the shirt, you selected the shirt, you went to the person, the cashier, for making the payment and for delivery of the goods. Then there are three probabilities. Number one, he will deliver the goods to you because you are present over there. So he will deliver the goods to you. But it may also be possible that that supplier must have received an order from other state. Means you have not gone personally to him to buy the goods, but he might have received an order from his customer who is situated in another state, and that person is not coming to his shop. He has told him, Bhaiya, please send the goods to me, such and such goods, please send these goods to me. So those goods have to be transported by this person. The goods after packing, he will go to the transport authority, to the person concerned, to the transporter, which have been selected by the customer, and he will book that shipment with the transporter, and transporter will deliver it to the person concerned in the other state. Now the here question is that this section says a registered person supplying taxable goods. So two words are important. A registered person means this section deals with only registered person. So a registered person supplying taxable goods, then he says he must be supplying taxable goods. If he is supplying taxable goods, then in respect of these goods, tax invoice can be issued. And then third word is shall. A registered person supplying taxable goods shall. Will is not written here. May is not written here. Word shall has been used. It means a registered person who is supplying taxable goods, it is mandatory for him to issue a tax invoice. To issue a tax invoice. Now, when he is to issue a tax invoice? That is important. When? Now I'm taking your case again. You went to buy the shirts. When you went to buy the shirts, you have selected the shirts. It has been reached to the counter, billing counter, where from you will get the delivery. So he will say, this is your bill, make the payment. So when the invoice is raised before or at the time of delivery of the goods. Look, before the delivery, he has prepared the invoice before delivering the goods to you. So invoice can be made before or at the time of delivery of the goods. Both are same. He might have prepared 5 minutes advance, 10 minutes advance, 1 day advance. Not 1 day advance, I'm sorry. In this case, it will not be 1 day in advance. It will be as soon as the goods are coming to you, to the counter, counterman may prepare the invoice by the time you reach over to the counter. Or he will prepare the invoice, he will make the invoice at that point of time when you reach to the counter and ask for your delivery of the goods. So invoice can be prepared by him before or at the time of delivery of the goods. This is one. But what will happen to that situation where the customer is located in the other state? So he says for him, invoice is to be issued at the time of removal of the goods. Means you are removing the goods from your shop or from your godown to the transporter's office, right? You are removing the goods from your office to the transporter office for sending goods to the other state. So he says in that situation that supplier is supposed to issue the invoice before or at the time of removal of the goods. Goods have not reached to the person concerned. While in your case, he immediately gives the goods to you. He delivers the goods to you. But in the other case, he is not delivering the goods to the person concerned. He is just removing the goods from his godown or from his shop or from his office and sending it through a transporter. So he says, if a registered person supplying taxable goods, second word, shall, third word, before or at the time of removal of goods. Now again, please see very carefully. Removal of goods for supply. The goods must go for the purpose of supply. Means it should be a sale. Goods must go for supply only. If the goods are not going for supply, then there is no need of issuing any tax invoice for that. Then you will say, then sir, what can be the other purpose for which the goods can go other than supply? Yes, goods can go for the purpose other than supply. For example, I have told you in case of job work, when any manufacturer sends the goods to the job worker for doing job work, at that point of time, he is not sending the goods, whether he is sending in rickshaw, whether he is sending in a three-wheeler, or he is sending in a transport truck. But he will not be sending those goods for the purpose of supply, but he will be sending it for the purpose of job work, means for a purpose other than supply. So if the goods are sent for the purpose other than supply, then he says there is no need of issuing tax invoice at that time. For supply to the recipient, where the supply involves movement of goods, means in this case, since the goods have been removed, goods are going outside the state, goods have been removed from the godown, and these goods require movement of the goods in order to deliver the good to the customer. But in your case, goods simply delivered at the counter. Those goods are not required to be moved from the counter otherwise. So first thing is that before or at the time of removal of goods, again, goods must be taxable goods, not exempted goods. For supply, goods must go for supply, not other than supply. Where the supply involves, this is the case where supply needs movement of goods from one state to the other. Now, in your case, it is covered under B, delivery of the goods. When goods are being delivered to you at the counter, at that time, before or at the time of delivery, the registered person is to issue invoice in respect of taxable goods. There can be another situation. What is that? Making available. Making available. He has not delivered it to you. He has not removed it for supply, but he is making available goods to the recipient in any other case. For example, making available, we need to understand what is the meaning of the word making available. And the meaning is, example is, try to understand, suppose you have given some machinery on hiring to some of your client or your customer. Machinery, you have purchased a big machine, say worth of 1 crore of rupees. Everybody cannot buy the machines of such a high value. The customer says, sir, you have a machine and I have got the job to be done on that machine. So you give me this machine on rent. So you can give it for hiring. So that person will making payment of hire as decided monthly or quarterly. Now, renting is a service, on that GST will be applicable. But now see, say suppose after 1 year time, after using that machinery, that person says, sir, my rent agreement is now complete, but I still need the machinery. So can you sell this machine to me? Can you sell this machine to me? So if I'm interested, I will say, okay, no problem. Because in any case, if I take it back from you, then I had to give it on rent to somebody because I'm not using it myself. Therefore, what he will do, he may say, the supplier may say, okay, if you are interested in buying this machine, you purchase this machine. Now look, that machine is already available with him. You are not to deliver it to him. You are not to remove the goods from your godown to send it to him. Neither you are to deliver. You have made it available to him, to the recipient. So in that case also, whenever you make it available, means whenever you sign the agreement for sale, immediately you are to issue the invoice. It is not necessary to make an agreement. Even issuing invoice itself will be an agreement between you and the recipient. Even the invoice is also an agreement between you and him that such and such goods are being sold to him at such and such price. So these are the three conditions in case of goods. Number one, removal of goods. Number two, delivery of goods. Number three, making available. Then he says, in all these three circumstances, a registered person shall, before or at the time of, issue a tax invoice. Now the question is, what is to be written in the tax invoice? Normally, whenever you go to buy a shirt, you must be receiving invoice. What is written on that invoice? Sometimes your name may be written, or normally it is not written because the supplier is not interested to know who is buying it. But if suppose the buyer is a registered person who is to take the input credit, then he will say, write my name, write my GST number. So what are the contents of that invoice normally? Name of the supplier, address of the supplier, GSTN number of the supplier, name of the buyer, registration number of the buyer, place of address of the buyer, place of supply. Then after that, below, particulars, description of the goods sold, say shirt of this brand. Then we will write quantity, 1 piece or 2 piece. Rate, if 2 pieces, at the rate of 500, 1000. Thereafter, after writing 1000, what I will do, since I am a registered person, I am to collect tax from you, GST from you. So if it is a local sale, I will write it SGST 5%, CGST 5%. Sorry, if the rate is 5%, then I will write 2.5% and 2.5%. If the rate of tax is 12%, then I will write 6%, 6%. If the rate is 18%, then 9% and 9%. So I will add, say GST is 5% total. So on 1000, 5% means 50 rupees. So I will raise the bill and give it to you, and you will make the payment. So what are the things written over there? He will issue a tax invoice showing the description of the goods, quantity of the goods, and value of the goods, and the tax charged thereon. Means tax charged thereon. This is written in the act itself, in the section itself, provision itself. Then he says, and such other particulars as may be prescribed. Such other particulars as may be prescribed. And these are prescribed in rules. Whatever other things I have discussed with you, such as name of the supplier, address of the supplier, GSTN number of the supplier, date of sale, then serial number of the bill, all these things are written in the rules. But in the act, he says you are supposed to write description, quantity, value of the goods, and tax. These 4 are mandatory. Other contents are also mandatory because those are mentioned in the rules. But here those are not written. We will see the rules, what is written over there. Next. Then he says, government may specify the various categories of goods for supplies in respect of which a tax invoice shall be issued. So far, whatever government has said that you are to issue the invoice, but in future, government may specify certain goods to be supplied or being supplied for which tax invoice shall be issued. What uses shall be issued. So government will decide later on. That has not been done, so there is nothing to worry about it. Now, as I told you, what is the meaning of the word removal? In the section 31(1), we used a word removal. And in section 296, section 2 definition clause, subclause 96, item number 96, the word removal has been explained. And what does it say? Which I have already explained to you. Removal means, number one, dispatch of goods for delivery by the supplier, either by himself or by any other person acting on the behalf of the supplier. Means when you are to deliver the goods, either the supplier himself will deliver it to you, or his any servant or any other salesman will deliver it to you. Supplier can deliver himself or through his any of the person who is acting on behalf of the supplier. Then collection of the goods. Suppose you have gone to his shop, so you can collect the shirt yourself, or it may be possible that at that point of time you want to say to that person concerned, look, this is loose, इसको थोड़ा fit कर दीजिए. तो कहेगा अच्छा ठीक है, फिर आप ऐसा करिए, शाम को मंगवा लीजिएगा. So in the evening, it is not necessary that you should go and collect it. It can be collected by any of the person authorized by the recipient. So collection of the goods by the recipient thereof, or by any other person acting on behalf of such a recipient. So in both the cases, either the supplier or the recipient can do the activity themselves or through any of their representatives. Removal of goods not for supply. As I explained you, if the goods are to be removed for supply, then tax invoice to be issued. But if these goods are not going for supply and going for some other reason such as job work, and there is another reason, goods are sent on approval basis. Sometimes what happens, just like jewelry, and there are certain other items which normally supplier puts in the showrooms of other persons. There are so many other items which the suppliers puts in the other's showroom for sale from those places. They are not selling from their own godown or from their own office or shop, but they are putting them on approval basis. So goods are sent to those places for showcase. If those are sold from there, then invoice is raised. So he says, if the goods are sent on approval basis, at that point of time when you are sending those goods, no tax invoice is required, because goods are going for approval only. Goods are not going for supply. The goods may be sold, goods may not be sold from that place. Therefore, it is not necessary to issue the tax invoice. In such a case, when tax invoice is to be issued, he says within 6 months. If the goods are sold within 6 months, then, or if the goods are not sold within 6 months and goods come back, no problem. But if goods are still retained over there, then after 6 months, the tax invoice has to be issued. It may be possible the person concerned may tell you, okay, look, I have not been able to sell it in 6 months. You just place it here for another 3 months. No problem. You can keep those goods there for another 3 months. But as soon as 6 months are completed, tax invoice has to be issued in the name of the person where the goods have been placed. So that will be the recipient, and tax invoice has to be issued. So this is the procedure in respect of tax invoices in respect of goods. Then he says in section 296 means physical transportation of goods for supply. Goods are being sent from one state to the other through transportation. So what will be the meaning of the word removal? Removal does not mean actual placing of the goods in the hands of the recipient. No, you will say that removal, you have removed the goods from your godown, you have given it to the transporter. It has not yet reached to the recipient. So he says removal does not mean actual placing of goods in the hands of the recipient, but the time when goods are taken up by the supplier with the intention of transportation. When supplier or any of his representative is taking those goods with the intention of transportation, at that point of time is the time we will call it as removal of goods, and tax invoice has to be issued at that point of time. But actual, it may be received by the recipient maybe on the next day or after 2 days. This will mean that time of supply is on commencement of journey and not on completion of journey. So goods may reach after 2 days to this recipient, but when the journey has commenced, that is the time of supply, and at that point of time, the invoice has to be issued. Then every innocent transportation of goods, not specifically or purposely to supply it to the recipient, would not amount to removal. Means if the goods have been transported, but not for the purpose of supply. It might have gone for the purpose of gift to some of your relative. Then it is, the purpose is not goods are going for the purpose of supply. Then in that case, no taxes invoices issued to be required to be issued. Clear? Now, delivery of goods, I have already explained you. When making available of the goods example, I have already given. Next, he says, if you have not issued the tax invoice, then it will attract penalty of rupees 10,000. Because normally people will ask this question, sir, if by mistake I forget to issue the tax invoice, then what will happen? The answer is that you will be liable to pay a penalty of rupees 10,000 or an amount equal to tax evaded, whichever is greater. It is not written here by mistake, but whichever is greater. For example, suppose there is a bill of 1 crore of rupees. There 18% tax is 18 lakh of rupees, and you have not issued the invoice. That on 1 crore goods, you have not issued the invoice. 18 lakh was the tax. So the penalty will not be 10,000. Penalty will be 18 lakh of rupees. So tax is to be paid, as well as penalty has also to be paid if the goods are caught on the way. Further, he says that government may issue a notification that it can specify categories of goods or supplies in respect of which tax invoice shall be issued within such time as may be. Means in respect of certain other specification of the goods, the government may decide how to issue the tax invoice, when to issue the tax invoice. Now, the question is, so far we have discussed about issuing of tax invoice in case of supply of goods. Now we come to supply of services, because there is difference in supply of goods and in supply of services. What is the difference? In case of supply of goods, delivery is possible. In case of supply of services, no delivery is possible. Only you are to render the service. Service will reach to the person concerned by way of a piece of paper, by way of a computer, by way of an email, or supply may be in a professional capacity. In case of services, those are not goods. Therefore, so far as whatever I have discussed, that will not apply. What will apply here? What is the rule for that? Section 31(2) is the section which deals with supply of services. What it says? Again, same thing, registered person. Means tax invoice is to be issued by the registered person, number one. Again, same, taxable services. Again, shall. So this line is same. Before or after the provision of service, but within a prescribed period. Means whenever you render a service, then you can issue an invoice prior to that, or you can issue an invoice after rendering of service. For example, before, you will say, sir, how you can issue an invoice before or after the provision? Before the provision also it is possible. Suppose somebody comes to my office. I am a chartered accountant. He comes to my office for, say, consultancy or some work. Now I give him consultancy. Then after that, he will say, okay, sir, whatever you had discussed with me, all right, now I'm going. Now you please get this paper typed and give it to me in the evening. Or you send it to me through email. At the same time, he may say, okay, sir, how much I have to pay? Suppose I say you have to pay 11,000 rupees. So he will say, okay, sir, you do one thing, you issue the invoice, I will make you the payment, and then you send me the invoice as well as the papers which are ready. You can send it through email or by WhatsApp. So I can issue the invoice before the completion of the service, before the provision of the service. Or it may also be possible, I will tell him, he may say, sir, I want to get this work done. I will say, okay, I will do it. But there will be a fee, consultancy fee will be say 10,000 rupees per hour. He will say, okay, sir, I will pay it. I will say, no, there is no question of payment. Remit it through net banking. First, it will come to my account, then only I will discuss with you, then only I will do it. So similarly, AMC contracts. In case of AMC contracts, these are service contracts. Your computer maintenance contracts are for 1 year. But what will happen in such cases, when these services are rendered, the supplier takes the entire fees for the whole year in advance. He says, sir, I'm issuing your bill. You make the payment. I will be rendering services on monthly basis. But he can take the money even before completion of the service from you. So invoice, he says, tax invoice is to be issued by the supplier of services. If he is a registered person, he is supplying taxable services, he shall issue before or after the provision of service. But there is a condition in rules. That rule says that within 30 days of completion of the service, within 30 days of the completion of service, that tax invoice is to be issued. You will say, sir, why he will take 30 days in issuing the services? Normally it happens. I'm a chartered accountant. People are coming for me for the work. Sometimes what happens, their work is complete, but there is such a huge rush in the office that we forget to make the invoices on the same day. Or it may not be even done for a week's time, 15 days time. So government has provided that in case of professionals, in case of service providers, the invoice can be issued within 30 days of the completion of service. If he does not issue within 30 days, if he does not issue within 30 days, then he becomes liable to pay the tax even without invoice. Even without issuing the invoice, he will become liable to pay tax on that. Then you will say, sir, how it is possible, how government will come to know that you have not issued the invoice? Yes, this only happens whenever there is a survey in the office, whenever there is any scrutiny in the office, whenever they call you to come with your books of accounts, and while checking your accounts and records, he comes to know, okay, this invoice should have been, this service was complete at that point of time, but you have not issued the services, therefore you are liable to pay tax on that. For example, suppose I am giving the services of filing of income tax return. Now in income tax return, last date is there that as on 31st October, the return has to be submitted. Now, if the return is submitted on 31st October, within 30 days, I'm supposed to raise the bill. But I have not raised the bill. Suppose I have raised the bill 3 months later. Now, so if the officer is checking my records and he just asks me, sir, in this case, you have filed the return. Please tell me on which date the return was filed. I'm telling him, sir, on 31st October. He may ask me, sir, please show me the bill where the bill has been raised. So if the bill is found 3 months later, he will say, okay. Within 30 days, you should have issued the bill. You have not issued this. Therefore, you are liable to pay tax 3 months in advance. You have paid tax after 3 months. So pay interest on that for 3 months. This is how the things can be caught. Otherwise, government believes you. Government believes the businessman or the service provider. The government says, we will not ask you anything unless your case is put to scrutiny. They say, we 100% have belief on you, faith on you. Whatever you are writing, whatever you are submitting, whatever tax you are paying, we are accepting is that correct. But few checking, we will do it. And if you are caught, then you have to pay tax, you have to pay interest, and you have to pay penalty also. Then this is the same clause that government may, on recommendation, notify certain category of services for which any other document issued in relation to supply shall be deemed to be a tax invoice. Means government may say tomorrow that don't issue tax invoice for such and such services. For such and services, do not issue any tax invoice, but whatever document in routine of that business is issued, that will be treated as a tax invoice. For example, if you go to a picture hall, there you get a ticket, small ticket. That small ticket is not in the format of tax invoice. For that purpose, that document, whichever ticket document is issued, that will be treated as a tax invoice for that purpose. Similarly, tax invoice may not be issued. Government may decide what are the categories in which tax invoice may not be issued. So this is general provision. Now, next is revised invoice. What is this revised invoice? Look, suppose you have applied for registration. Be attentive on this issue. Suppose you have applied for registration. Now what happens when we apply for registration? Number one, when my turnover exceeds 20 lakh of rupees. Suppose on today is July 24th of July. Now suppose in the month of December, in the month of December 2019, my turn, okay, there will be an example here. Okay, yes, we'll talk to example later on. Yes, sorry. So he says, if you have applied for registration and you got the registration also, because that will take some time, but you can apply for registration within 30 days when your turnover exceeds 20 lakhs. Now look, on a particular date, your turnover exceeded 20 lakhs. From the next day itself, since you are liable to be registered on that day, you are supposed to issue tax invoices from the next day. But you cannot issue tax invoice till you get registered. Now government allows you to make an application for registration within 30 days. So from that date till 30 days, you can apply. Suppose you applied on 29th day. Now when you applied for 29 days, so this gap of 29 days on which you were not registered, but you were liable to be registered because your turnover exceeded 20 lakhs. So for this period also, you could have issued the tax invoice if you were registered over there. But here you are not registered. So government says that if you have applied for registration within time, within period of 30 days, then till your certificate is issued, because after your application, government will take 3 days time to register you, as I told you earlier, or it may take 7 days. If they find out any deficiency, then may take 15 days. So till the date of registration, from the date of liability of 20 lakhs exceeding, this much gap will be there of 1 month and 15 days, 14 days, 10 days, 12 days, whatever it is. So what will happen in this? So he says, once you get the registration, then you can issue revised invoices in place of earlier invoices which you have issued while conducting your business. And look, since you were unregistered there, so you must have issued not tax invoices, but simple invoices. Since you have issued simple invoices, on the basis of that, your buyer cannot get the tax credit. Therefore, government allows you, permits you that for the gap period, you can issue revised invoice, which will be in the format of tax invoice. Means the name at the top of it, it will not be written as tax invoice, it will be written as revised invoice. But it will be a tax invoice. So he says a registered person may, within 1 month from the date of issuance of certificate of registration and in such manner as may be prescribed, issue a revised invoice against the invoices already issued during the period beginning with the effective date of registration till the date of issuance of certificate of registration. Means after you get the registration certificate, you have 30 days time to issue the revised invoices in respect of invoices already issued by you, so that your customer can claim ITC on those purchases. Next. So this is an example which I have written just to make you understand. What does it say? Example number 1. Suppose your threshold limit exceeded on 31st October 2017. Be attentive. On 31st October, it crossed 20 lakhs. Then he applied for registration within 30 days. That is on 28th of November 2017. He could have applied up to 30th November, but he has applied on 28th November, 2 days earlier. Then he says that registration certificate is issued on 7th of December. Means although it should have been issued within 30 days, but it may be possible some deficiency would have come and he might have replied the deficiency, and then government has approved the registration on 7th of December 2017. Now, he can issue the revised invoices. From which date? From 31st October 2017, because in this case, effective date of registration will be 31st October 2017, on which date his liability arises because his turnover crossed 20 lakh of rupees. So effective date of registration is 31st October. He got the registration up to 7 December. So from 31st October up to 6th December, means 7 December se ek din pehle, up to 6th December, for this period, whatever supplies, whatever invoices he has issued, in place of those invoices, he can issue a revised invoice to his suppliers, and those suppliers can claim ITC which is written in the invoice. And from 7th December, since he has got registered now, he can issue regular tax invoices. So for the gap period, revised invoice, and from the date of registration, that is the date on which registration is granted, that is 7th December, he will issue tax invoices. Now see the second example. In this second example, the person concerned has made a mistake. He should have applied within 30 days, but he made delay. He got late. So when he gets late, then his effective date does not come from the original date, first date, 31st October. Rather, effective date comes only the date on which he gets the registration. When he gets late to apply, then in that case, date of registration comes from, effective date comes from the date when he has applied for registration. So here he says, suppose threshold crossed on 31st October, same date as earlier, but he applies late on 5th of December. He was supposed to apply up to 30th November. He did not apply within 30 days. His application got late. Therefore, benefit of the intermediate period will not be allowed to him. His effective date will come from 5th of December only. And he has granted the registration on 15th of December. So now here the gap period is from 5th December to 15th December to 14th December. Gap period is not from 31st October because that 1 month is lapsed. For that 1 month, you cannot issue tax invoice now. You can issue tax invoice from the date you applied for registration and the period when you got the registration. That is for these 10 days. From 5th December to 14th December period, you can issue revised invoice, and for balance, that is from 15th onwards, you can issue tax invoice. Next is, this was all about tax invoices. So one thing, registered person can issue tax invoice. Number 2, he shall issue tax invoice. Number 3, in respect of taxable supplies of goods or services. In case of goods, at the time of removal or delivery of the goods. In case of services, is to be issued within 30 days, etc., etc., whatever we have discussed so far. But now he says that if the registered person supplies exempted goods, And prior to that, just read. It is written as a registered person may not issue a tax invoice if value is less than rupees 200, subject to such conditions and in such manner as may be prescribed. Because the public wanted to know from the government, okay, sir, if somebody comes to my shop, he makes purchase of 25 rupees, 30 rupees, means less than 200 rupees. Am I supposed to issue tax invoice? The government said, okay, if it is less than 200 rupees, you may not issue the tax invoice. May not issue. This word is important because if the customer asks for the invoice, then you are bound to issue the tax invoice if the goods are taxable. Even if the goods are of 25 rupees, you have to issue. But if he does not ask, suppose he is a general consumer, he has visited your shop, he purchased certain small thing, and that is of 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 50 rupees, he just pay 50 rupees and go. Then he says, you may not issue the tax invoice. But what will happen? But subject to other conditions and manner as may be prescribed. Then what you have to do in respect of all those supplies, those sale of goods, you have to issue the invoice in the evening. One invoice you can issue in respect of all such supplies for which you have not issued the bills during the day. Meaning thereby you go on keeping the record that at this time this much rupees sale is made, at this time this is sale is made during the year. Suppose 2000 rupees sales have been made like this of less than 200 rupees each. Then in the evening when you are closing your accounts, at that point of time you issue one tax invoice, just writing cash rupees 2000 and chapter is closed. So this can be done in respect of smaller sale of goods. Now he says, suppose that registered person is not making supply of taxable goods, but he is making supply of exempted goods, services, or both. Here I have written the word in 31(3)(c). Just read, a registered person supplying exempted GSB. GSB means goods, services, or both. These are lengthy words, so it has been written in abbreviation. If registered person is supplying exempted goods or paying tax under composition scheme. We discussed composition scheme, and in composition scheme I told you that the person who is opting for composition, he cannot issue tax invoice because he cannot pass on ITC to its customer, because he is to pay tax either of 1% or 5% or 6% as the case may be. So he will not charge tax in the invoice. Therefore, he say if you are selling exempted goods, because in exempted goods also there is no tax. If you are a composition dealer, you are not to apply tax. Then he says instead of tax invoice, he can issue. He should issue a bill of supply. On the invoice, at the top of the invoice, instead of tax invoice, it should be written as bill of supply. Bill of supply. This must be mentioned. So composition dealer will issue bill of supply. He will not issue tax invoice. If you are supplying exempted goods, even a registered person will not issue tax invoice. He will write bill of supply. Similarly, in case of services also, in case of bill of supply also, if the supply is less than 200 rupees, then you can issue one invoice in the evening. Then he says, a registered person shall, on receipt of advance payment with respect to any supply of goods or services, issue a receipt voucher. Now, what is this? Just understand that sometimes you are selling such goods which are very important, which are scarcity in availability, or which are at that point of time not available in your stock. But somebody comes to you, he says, sir, I want to buy this thing. You say, sir, it is not in stock. If you want to buy, you just pay me some advance and come tomorrow or day after, I will give you this. Okay, or you go to a photographer for a photograph, he will say, okay sir, मैंने आपका फोटो खींच लिया है, आप इसको परसों या 3 दिन बाद ले लीजिएगा, कुछ एडवांस दे जाइए. So you pay advance. So he says, if a supplier has received advance payment in respect of supply of goods or services or both, then that supplier is supposed to issue a receipt voucher for that. Means he has to issue a receipt. Normally people do not issue this. Normally people don't issue, they don't have practice. Although as per accounting principles also, whenever you are receiving any amount, you are supposed to issue a receipt. But here GST makes it compulsory. Whether otherwise in your accounting practice you are issuing receipt or not. But here he says, for GST purpose, if you have received any advance, whether in cash or by check or by any other payment, for which you have not issued the invoice so far because you have not supplied the goods or you have not rendered the services, then for that advance received you have to issue a receipt. And that what will be written in that receipt, that rules will be telling you as may be prescribed, evidencing receipt of such payment, that you have received this payment. Why it is necessary? Look, in case of services, time of supply is when you receive the payment, even if you have not rendered the services. So in case of services, I'm telling you, in case of services, not in goods. In case of services, whenever you receive some money in advance, then your GST liability becomes there and then. There and then means you are liable to pay tax on that, even if services are not rendered. Suppose, for example, I just explained you. For example, suppose on 30th of the month, you received, suppose, a advance of rupees 10,000 from some customer for rendering certain services on 30th of the month. Month is complete on 30th itself. Now, in respect of this 30th, this completion of month, you are supposed to pay tax by 20th of the next month. When you are to pay tax by 20th of next month, means by that time you don't render the service. So no invoice will be issued. When no invoice is issued, this 20,000 was lying with you in respect of supply of services. So government say you should have issued a receipt voucher on that date, plus your tax liability starts on that date, and on next 20th you have to pay tax on this. So it is like this. That is the reason, since on services it is mandatory to pay the tax on receipt basis, even if whether you have supplied the services or not. Therefore, issue of receipt voucher is mandatory. Is mandatory. Word used is a registered person shall. Again, the word is shall. On receipt of advance, he must issue a receipt voucher so that his liability can be accounted for. Then he says, suppose you have issued receipt voucher, and you might have paid tax also. But what will happen? Suppose after 2 months, you could not make the supply of those services because of any reason. So that person says, please refund my money. So when you will refund the money, you have to issue a refund voucher. And on the basis of this refund voucher, entry will be made in the return, and whatever tax you have already paid on advance, that will be reversed and will be reduced from your liability of the next 2 months. After 2 months, in the month in which you have made the refund. So first, on receipt of advance, you are to issue a receipt voucher on the basis of which you are to pay tax, and on refund, you are to issue a refund voucher and you are to claim the tax already paid back from the tax liability of that month in which a refund has been made. So, maximum part of issuing of tax invoice we have discussed. Now something is left only, which we will share on the next class, and we will be able to complete this chapter on that day.